Well, I was at Theatre Workshop in the East End of London, Stratford, with Joan Littlewood when I first started. I used to be a merchant seaman, and I used to come and watch things in the theatre when I got the chance to see when I was home on leave. And I liked their stuff very much. And I, from friends who used to go there and say, "Come and see this stuff at Stratford, it's really smashing," you know. And one day I came back, and I used to like mimicking people and taking people off and on the box and all this sort of thing, and radio. And one mate said to me, "They're doing auditions," he said, "next Thursday." So I said, "You're joking?" So he said, "No." He said, "Why didn't you go and do it?" I said, "Oh, come on." He said, "I tell you," he said, do an audition." He said, "Well, I'll come and watch you." So, all right then, I'll do it. So I learned a couple of little pieces, and I went in there, and they said, "Right, next." And I went and did my little piece, and they said, and a voice said, "Right, thank you, that's it, thank you." And I thought, oh, well, that's it then. So I walked out and I saw my mate in the bar, and we were standing there talking. So he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Ah, well, that's it." And suddenly she was alongside of me, and she said, "So will you be available in September for that?" I said, "What?" She said, "Will you be available for that?" I think it was a piece called "You Won't Always Be on Top." And I said, "Yes, I will, you know." And I came and did it, and that's it. I was in the business and stayed with them. And then we went and did things which were successful, went into the West End with The Hostage for a long run, and then did another long run with Mrs. Wilson's Diary, which was extraordinarily good. And London Weekend Television bought the show when we finished, that was in '69, and put it on as a one-off on the box with all the same cast in it, you know. And the director said to me at the time, he said, "I'm doing a little thing," he said, "after this, a sitcom," he said, a preview for one. He said, "Would you like to play a part in it?" I said, "Well, what is it about?" So he said, "It's the thing they call On the Buses," he said. And, you know, he said, the writers have had experience of these things. And he showed me a piece, and I said, "Yes, I would like to do it." And it clicked. It was extraordinary. The London buses wouldn't have them at first, and they said, we got a letter back from them saying they feared it might damage their image. And we framed the letter and hung it in the producer's room. We had to go to this other grey-green thing out in the East End of London, bus line, and running out into Essex. And we had a lovely tea in the afternoon with the boss of the company, sitting in their canteen with all of our cast and everybody for the start to work. And he said to us at the time, "Don't be too hard on the management," he said. "We've had some trouble with the workers here," he said, "for the last 3 months," he said. "So, you know," he said, "I know it's all right for you," he said, "but don't be too hard on us." And when we saw the guys looking at us, we knew that they didn't like the sound of it. And they used to give us a lot of trouble at first, you know. When we started filming, they used to shout over the top when we were told to be quiet and all that sort of thing, and give us trouble. And it was only when the first episode started going out, by the time the third episode went out, they were over the moon. They saw then it was a comedy, and they liked it so much, and that was then it clicked. Another one was when I was on the top of a bus, and I was coming along, and a bridge was coming along towards us, and I finished up hanging on the bridge with the bus gone. And they said, "Where is he?" And they looked back and they saw me hanging on the bus like that with my foot, and then my feet were about, I think, just over 9 feet from the ground. So you can imagine how long that was. And what they used to do, of course they had to do some takes to get it going, they had 6 big mattresses, which the crew used to throw down under, as soon as he said cut, they'd throw them down, and I'd jump down off it, and they grabbed me like that on the top of the cushions. And they did about 7 takes to get it. And when the last one was done, they said, "Right, that's it, lunch." And they all ran away and left me hanging from the bridge. Honest to God. Hanging from the bridge there. And I was hanging like that, and it was an old iron bridge. My fingers were cut because it was rusty and all that normal thing that I'd been hanging on so long. And I shouted out, and 2 of them turned, who were running, and they said, "Oh my God," and they rushed back, and the others started coming back as well. And they only just caught me in time. Honestly, they started throwing the mattresses like they'd only got 2 under and held me like that. Oh, so I had a few words with them after.